You've got to do everything you can at once. And as we come out of COVID, we face a real cost of living crunch caused largely by the inflationary spikes you're seeing around the world, particularly in energy. And the government has to help people, and we are helping people, just as we've helped people throughout the pandemic. And so what Rishi has announced today is a £9 billion package to help people with the cost of their energy, very considerable support for people. And then 27 million households will benefit from a council tax rebate worth £150, then a £200 loan on top of that. So a lot of money going in now to help people with the cost of living, on top of what we're doing with the living wage, with the effective tax cuts for people on universal credit. But all this investment, all this helping people, is only going to work if we have a sustainable long-term economic recovery with high-wage, high-skilled jobs. And so what we're doing today is putting in the investment here, for instance, in Blackpool, £22 million going into the tram network, and that is driving thousands more jobs, private sector jobs, because I think that levelling up is a fantastic mission for our country, and it's about recognising there's genius and talent everywhere, and you need to unleash it, but you've got to have the private sector leading it.
Nearly £700 a year more in energy costs. That's going to be a huge hit for many people. Shouldn't the government be doing even more to help people with those bills that are coming down the line?
So for people who are facing particular hardship, of course, we have, and for everybody, we have abatements, things that we do to help with the cost of energy, cold weather payments, warm homes, discounts, and so on. This is a mega package of £9 billion on top, which is, I think, necessary, but it's huge. And that is there to help people with this particular spike that we're seeing right now. What I hope and believe is that eventually, as the world economy gets its momentum back, the inflationary pressures will start to subside. Vital thing you've got to do in order to help keep inflation under control is ease those problems in the supply chains, get people into work in the jobs where they're needed. So that's why we're also doing our Way to Work programme, getting 500,000 people off welfare and into work to help ease the blockages in the UK economy, get things working more smoothly, and that is another way that you can get inflation under control.
Would you look again at the national insurance rise, given the scale of the price rises that families are going to be facing?
You've got to remember also, as we come out of COVID, our COVID recovery plan has got to involve dealing with the colossal backlog that we've got in our NHS. The NHS was amazing and is amazing, and it's dealt magnificently with the pandemic. But there are huge numbers of people, 6 million, 1 in 10 of the UK population currently waiting on an NHS waiting list. That's going to go up, I'm afraid. It's going to go up. We've got to put in the money to fix it. 9 million more scans, 50,000 more nurses, building the hospital capacity that we need. It's the number one priority of the British people, and we've got to fund it. So I know it's not what anybody wants to do. It's not what Rishi wants to do. It's not what I want to do, but we've got to do it.
On Northern Ireland, on the protocol, will you ensure that checks on goods are carried out, which is part of the international agreement that you agreed and signed?
I hope that we can get. I know that Liz Truss is seeing Maroš Šefčovič again, I think, today. And that's great that the conversations are continuing. What we've got to do is get to a sensible solution that recognises that it's crazy to have checks on goods that are basically circulating within the single market of the United Kingdom. What you could have, of course, is commonsensical, practical steps to weed out, to check on things that might be at risk of circulation, as they say in Brussels, at risk of circulation in Ireland as well as Northern Ireland. Now, we can do that, but without having a full panoply of checks on the GB/NI coast and at the airport. And that's the way forward. I think practical common sense is what's needed.
Isn't that going back, though, on what you agreed?
Actually, if you look at the protocol, which I'm sure you have studied in detail, there's plenty about uninterrupted east-west trade.
On your leadership, your Chancellor said today that the parties in Downing Street has damaged public trust in politicians. One of the people who put a letter in of no confidence said that they wanted the tone of debate not lowered. And yet you made an allegation in the Commons about Keir Starmer not prosecuting Jimmy Savile. Does that not bring the tone down? So why did you make that allegation?
I want to be very clear about this because a lot of people have got very hot under the collar, and I understand why. Let's be absolutely clear. I'm talking not about the leader of the opposition's personal record when he was DPP, and I totally understand that he had nothing to do personally with those decisions. I was making a point about his responsibility for the organisation as a whole, and I think people can see that. And I really do want to clarify that because it is important. But on your wider point, I think what people want is for us to focus on the issues that really matter for them. So look at. I'm not saying that other issues don't matter, but above all, we've got to focus on cost of living and on taking the country forward. And I think we can tackle both things together with our programme of support for people now, getting the COVID recovery plan really humming, getting people back into work, and the British record on this, that our country's record on this is absolutely amazing when you consider what we've been through. As the Chancellor was saying this morning, unemployment is far, far lower than where it was predicted to be. We've got record low youth unemployment. What we need to do now is really turbocharge that and put in the measures through levelling up. They're going to drive a long-term, sustainable, high-wage, high-skill, jobs-led recovery. The point about levelling up, we think there's talent everywhere. We want to unleash it.
Again, on the issue of your character, the former chief of the defence staff has said today people look at you and they're not sure that they can trust you. In terms of Ukraine and the sort of foreign issues, that's a problem, isn't it?
No, I think the UK has played a very important role so far in bringing together the West and making sure that our partners understand the severity of the threat that the Ukrainians face. And I think if you look at what we've been doing for the last 2 or 3 months, the UK has been way out in front in making sure that people respond. So we've been putting together the right package of economic sanctions. It's got to be tough enough, and we've got to make sure that people understand it's got to be automatic, so that there's no sort of argument if and when there is a Russian invasion, that those sanctions come in automatically. And as you know, we've changed the law so that the UK will apply sanctions both personally but also on any company of strategic Russian interest. Number two, the UK has been out in front in supporting the Ukrainians through the contribution of lethal defensive weaponry, and that's very important. We're one of a handful of countries to do that, along with the United States, Lithuania, and that's something that is greatly appreciated by Ukraine, helps to fortify their defence. But I think where the UK has possibly been most useful of all is in just trying to get over to the world what a tragedy it would be if such an invasion were to take place, and a tragedy for Russia as well.